This is a video to explain about functions with inverses, functions without inverses, and relationships. So you should be familiar with the terms domain and range and functions by now. So here I've got a graph of y equals 4x minus 3. And basically, graphically, I can see that I've got an x number here, 2 goes up and maps across to a y number 5. So 2 goes into the domain and 5 comes out of the range. Now the inverse would be to start the other way and start at 5 and it goes back to 2. And we can do this with any number. We can work out that minus 1 goes to minus 7, and so minus 7 will come back to minus 1. This particular function, if I make it fx equals 4x minus 3, is called a one-to-one function because each x number maps onto a y. It's one-to-one, and if it's one-to-one, it's a function with an inverse. So this particular one is a function with an inverse because it's one-to-one. Okay, let's look at another one, the next page here. Let's have a look at this one. Now, this is y equals x squared plus 3. So imagine the function fx equals x squared plus 3. And I'm going to do a similar thing to what I did before. I'm going to start off with 2, put it into the function, and out comes 7. So 2 went in and 7 went out. Now imagine if I start at 7 and I try and work backwards. So I start in the range and I try and work backwards. Well, I go across and down to 2. So that's good, but I could also start here and go across and down to minus 2. So it also sent me back to minus 2. So many different x numbers go to one y number. And so this one's called a many-to-one. And this can be a function, but without an inverse. So it's a function, but without an inverse. Now there's a really simple way to tell graphically whether the function's got an inverse or not, and that is to do what's called the horizontal line test. If I can place a horizontal line through here at any point, like that, then it's a function. And it goes through 2 points, then it's a function without an inverse. Okay, let's look at another one. This one is actually the same function as the one we had before. So let's go back. It's the same function, but with this one, I'm starting my domain at 0. Now what happens here is that each x number goes in and it produces a unique y number. So this time, 2 goes to 7 and 7 goes straight back to 2. So because I have made my domain x is bigger than or greater than 0, this now becomes a one-to-one function, and so it's a function with an inverse. I cannot do the horizontal line test and pass through 2 points at anywhere along here. So I just wanted to show you that we can actually have the same quadratic, but we can limit the domain and create a one-to-one function. And finally, we can have things like this. Now this one here is going to give me one x number going in and 2 different y numbers going out. So 1 goes in and it goes to around about 1.5, 1.6. 1 goes in and it goes to negative 1.6. So here you can see I've got a one to many, and this is called a relationship. It's not even a function, okay? So a one to many or a many to one, and they're very unusual at SL maths, is called a relationship, and it's not a function. And there's a simple test. If you're given something like this and you want to test, if you do a vertical line and it cuts through 2 points, then it's not a function. It's a one-to-many or a relationship. So once again, Functions with inverses, one-to-one. Functions without inverses, many-to-one. One-to-one function with the domain cut, so it's got an inverse. And relationships, they're not functions.